Matt Peiken here with the Wake Up Podcast, and I have a confession to make. I don't live in your city. I produce this newscast from all the credible sources of journalism and the reporters who make up your local media landscape. I try to get the names of people and places right, but once in a while I'll mispronounce something. So I want you to set me straight so I don't repeat the mistake. If you hear anything amiss or just want to send feedback on the show, email me at editor@wakeupthenews.org. All right, on with the news. Wake up, Raleigh. Matt Peiken here. Thanks so much for tuning into your local newscast for Tuesday, March 10th. Wake County officials say a state affordable housing tax exemption is shrinking the local tax base in Raleigh and elsewhere. Under what one developer calls a rent and nonprofit structure, for-profit apartment owners transfer small ownership stakes to nonprofits to qualify for full property tax breaks. Exemptions have nearly doubled since 2020, cutting a projected $776 million from taxable value, or about $4 million in revenue. This year, applications cover $1.2 billion in property, which officials say would mean a $6.2 billion loss in county tax dollars. Lawmakers are weighing changes to tighten the law. Read more about this at IndieWeek. The Pentagon says it's considering UNC Chapel Hill as a new partner for senior military education. In a February 27th memo, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the department is, quote, strategically refocusing how senior officers are trained and cutting ties with several so-called elite universities. 93 officers are currently enrolled at 22 institutions that will lose fellowship programs, though students can finish their existing studies. UNC Chancellor Lee Roberts says the university is, quote, honored to be considered. The move comes amid a complicated relationship between UNC and the Trump administration. Read more about this at Carolina Public Press. Democratic State Senator Greg Meyer of Orange County is stepping down later this month to become executive director of the North Carolina Justice Center, a statewide nonprofit focused on issues including education, healthcare, and workers' rights. Meyer's resignation takes effect at the end of this month. He says after 12 years in the minority party, he wants to advance the same policy goals outside the legislature. Local Democratic leaders in Orange, Person, and Caswell counties will recommend a replacement to Governor Stein, with a decision possible by early April, ahead of the short session. Read more about this in the News and Observer. North Carolina State Auditor Dave Boliek says he won't recuse himself from oversight of a possible recount in the Republican primary for Senate District 26. Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page leads Senate leader Phil Berger by 23 votes, after initially holding just a 2-vote edge out of more than 26,000 ballots cast. A handful of overseas and military ballots remain uncounted. Page argues Boliek has a conflict because he campaigned for Berger, saying, quote, the optics just don't look good. Boliek says the recount process is handled by county and state election boards, not him. Read more about this at NC Newsline. And Artspace is marking 40 years of using art to help power Raleigh's downtown core. The nonprofit grew out of a 1986 effort to revive the struggling city market area by investing in artists. Today, it operates inside a 30,000 square foot building on East Davie Street with more than 30 subsidized studios, 3 exhibition spaces, grants for artists in residence, and classrooms that serve hundreds of students. About 60,000 people visit each year. CEO Carly Prentice Jones says keeping Artspace thriving takes steady grants and donations. Read more about this at Axios Raleigh. Our free newsletter is a quick local news digest, essentially this newscast in written form. Subscribe at wakeupral.transistor.fm. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Wake Up Raleigh, and please share this podcast with your friends who care about this city. I'm Matt Peiken. Thanks so much for starting your weekdays with Wake Up Raleigh.